Welcome back to ABC24 This Week. I'm Richard Ransom along with Otis Sanford and Deidre Malone. I want to talk about the Memphis Shelby County School Board decision. We've been waiting for a new superintendent since Dr. Joris Ray left back in August. We're now 8 months in, and it feels like we're no closer than we were 8 months ago. We know that they hired a search firm for $40,000 to find some candidates. They proffer a list of 3 finalists, and suddenly school boards, well, what's that about? And it's like 52 card pickup. They want all the names and want them all to be made public. Most of the candidates were okay with that. Some understandably probably didn't want the whole city knowing that they were applying, so they withdrew their names. And so we've had this back and forth about who's a finalist, who's not a finalist. So right now, what we know is there are 2 of the 3 finalists are from here,
right,
and actually work in the school system right now. And then there's a 3rd candidate from Madison, Wisconsin.
Right.
The 2 that work here now is the interim superintendent, Tony Williams, who I think is acting like she's running for office, and Deputy Superintendent Angela Whitelaw, who I've also met and has been with the school system for a long time. So that's where it sits. Now we've decided we got to have a retreat.
Right. And we don't even know when that retreat is.
We don't know when the retreat
And what's
is.
the purpose of the retreat?
To decide how to move forward.
Okay.
We're on pause right now.
We're on pause,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, it's unfortunate that school board members weren't as involved in the first part of the process.
Yeah.
Because some of the questions that were being asked when the consultant brought the 3 names before the school board commissioners, I thought, these questions, I mean, wouldn't you think that you would have been able to ask those questions before? You know, you're going to the public. So now there's a retreat to determine how you're going to move forward on this.
They don't know if they want to keep this firm, the search firm anymore, which when they hired the firm, they bragged it was one of the best in the business, known for its inclusivity.
Right.
Now they don't seem too happy with the names, and now they kind of want to do it themselves. It sounds like they'd rather not have the help of the
I'm a
search.
proponent of take your time, do it right, because it needs to be the right decision.
Well, okay, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But also, the school board is just not looking good right now. And the fact that they had that uproar at that recent meeting and criticized the search firm, and that caused 2 of the finalists at that point to drop out. And then this past week, we had another finalist who took herself out. Now that the others have dropped out, she wants to be dropped back in. I mean, it is almost like a circus here. And I hate to be that critical because there's some well-meaning people on the school board.
Yes.
But I've been around this city long enough, Richard and Deidre. I'm going to venture to say that this is the most confusing search for the superintendent since 1978, when Dr. Harrington was vying for it and the board members didn't want him. And they picked somebody from Grosse Pointe, Michigan. He got here, and the community pretty much ran him back out of town.
Like we're doing with the police chief.
Exactly. Right.
You know, it's interesting because it is such an important position. I just always think of the kids when we're doing these stories. We get all interested in the politics of it and the chaos of it. But bottom line is, you got more than 100,000 kids, and there's no person in charge right now except for the interim super. We have not been able to hire a permanent person for that position. And it seems to me 8 months in, we should be farther along than this. I agree, we need to take the time we need to take, but man, oh man.
Right, well, I'm glad, since they're going to have a retreat, maybe they'll reset and we'll get there. And my hope is that they'll have a tight timeline to make it happen. But it is one of the most important decisions that they'll have to make as elected officials.
And if you're a potential candidate, is this a school board? I mean, they're your boss.
Right.
Is that somebody you want to work for?
Right.
I mean, they've shown it's a fairly chaotic operation right now.
They really have. And this is the most important job that the school board has. I mean, yes, they are in charge of governance and policies and stuff like that. But your biggest job is picking the superintendent, the person who's going to be the administrator over all of the schools. And if you haven't shown that you can get that done in an efficient way, in a credible way, then you're failing at your job. I'm just being honest about it.
So one of the superintendents that was masterful, I thought, at working with the school board, but also leading, was Carol Johnson.
No question about it.
I mean, so someone with that kind of demeanor and personality, with that type of education and passion for the children and education, Someone like that is what we need here in Memphis and Shelby County.
Right.
So she can walk that fine line of working closely with the elected officials, but also leading that school system.
Yep,
So someone
yep.
like her would be great.
Although her specifically, she's not interested in
No,
coming
she's
back
not
now. But let's
interested
be
in coming
clear,
back.
we're
She's
not,
not.
we're not saying that they ought to go out and hire her.
But somebody like
She's
that.
done her time, and then also over at Lamar and Owens.
But
So
maybe she can consult on the process.
that would be helpful, honestly.
Well, the candidate you mentioned who wants to get back in, her name escapes me right now, but she's up at the Detroit school system
Right.
now and has roots in Alabama. Her family's in Alabama. She was educated in Alabama. So she might have a unique understanding of how things are here and also bring a breadth of experience in some much larger school systems. Who knows? And Madison, Wisconsin is known as an educational hub and being at the forefront of new ideas and thinking when it comes to education. But they need to make a decision at some point. And I don't know that any of the would you go local or would you try to get somebody who's an outsider?
I'm going to say something that may not be popular, but I kind of think you could get a business person to run the school system and have a second in command that's an academic. You know? I mean, it is $1 billion business.
More than that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Something to think about.
right. That's a bold thing to say. I don't think a lot of people in the community want that, honestly.
I know, but
We did get you up here, Reverend Whalen.
I know.
We know
Please
about
don't.
that.
Please don't.
But it'll be interesting to see. I just hope they get moving on it, and I hope they don't spend too much of this retreat because we're all going to ask for freedom of information,
Yes.
on what the
Exactly.
cost is of that, and let's get moving on it.
Please.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about things going on in Nashville. Lots of national news again coming from our state capital. We'll be right back.